position we're talking about, these are probably the top 3 guys in the whole fucking league outside maybe LeBron James. Any given day, these 3 guys can be the best player in this league, no matter which way you order them. Hell, our number 3 could have been number 1. He would be number 1 likely if he would have played last year. He didn't even play last year. We still consider him a top 5 player in the league.
Yep.
These guys, it's not like when we were talking about center, Jokic, amazing player, Embiid, amazing player. These are another level. These aren't guys that might bring you to a conference finals. These are guys that are going to bring you to a championship. These are our studs. They're all stars. They're top 5 in the league, no matter which way you rank them, depending on the week. They're guys that if we did top 50 ranking last year, they would vary at the top 3 spots, top 4 spots every single week.
Yep.
Moving into that, we do have at number 3. I already mentioned it. Someone who did play last year. If you guys couldn't figure it out, you got to go watch a little bit of basketball or at least read something. But Kevin Durant, former, I would say, competed with LeBron as the number 1 player on the planet for about 4 or 5 years there until he got hurt, to be honest. He's here at number 3. He's got a career of 27, 7, and 4. He shoots from 3-pointers at 40%. He's 7 feet tall. He moves. We're talking about Kristaps Porzingis having great ball handling skills. Durant on another level with that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one element of his game that's forgotten is how good of a ball handler he was. Like even saying the 27-7 that's expected, but the 4 assists over his career. Again, that's usually that's usually a skill. Like his first few years, it's going to be much lower and develops over time too. Where
it did
exactly where Kevin
6 last year.
Yeah, where I was about to say Kevin Durant year over year. I'm not to say at minimum Kevin Durant's going to put up 25, 7, and 6. I would say again is what Kevin Durant at minimum is going to do, and we're just talking about Tatum putting up 25, 10, and 5. If he can do that for a whole year, oh my God, amazing! That's what Durant does for his career, basically. So
that's what Durant does when he goes to work in the morning. That's just how he puts his shoes on.
And let alone the fact, like, if we get into his percentages, it's like you almost don't need to because you know how good of a shooter he is. We talked about Bertans, we talked about Carmelo, we talked about some of the great shooters at this position. But I mean, ultimately, in terms of anywhere on the floor, you get this ball the guy and you give him even the tiniest bit of space, the ball is going in.
He's going over your head.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's the guy. I mean, even in your face, it usually doesn't matter. Kevin Durant, easily, when he was healthy, the best scorer in the league. One of the only players we've seen in the 21st century to have a year that he put up over 30 per game.
Yeah.
One of the only guys who could truly give LeBron James an argument, and not
for best player on the planet.
Yeah, and not even in terms over the last 20 years, LeBron probably wins it based on all the championships, whatever. But in terms of a certain year, saying this guy was better that year, Kevin Durant, very justifiable, had
in the conversation.
Absolutely. Who, as much criticism as he's ever gotten to, always finds a way to overcome it. Oh, he can't win. Okay, well, yeah, sure, he went and joined a winner, but it's not like he didn't play hard teams.
Back-to-back finals MVP.
Yeah.
Back-to-back finals MVP.
Yeah, and like I said, sure, he joined the winner, but yes, he was the MVP, and he still beat a LeBron James team that, guess what, beat that team without Durant the year before. So ultimately, Durant is clearly what put them over the hurdle. He would put any team over the hurdle. He's going to make Brooklyn one of the hardest teams in the East to play against as long as he's
one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, and I think that the only reason he finds himself 3 is, yes, he did have that injury that factors into this because it is a list of who is likely going to have the best year. And I think Durant might have a little bit of a, like I said, less productive where it might be like a 25 point, 7 rebound, whatever, on assist. But that's not saying that Kevin Durant can't go up to 28 points per game. And if he does that, he's probably, again, the best player because you just can't defend him when he's actually scoring in volume. Like when Kevin Durant finds his rhythm, there's just, again, there's no one like him in that regard.
He averaged 27.5 with OKC, and he still averaged 26 on Golden State, a team that had a little guy named Steph Curry. They had Klay Thompson. They had Draymond Green. They had Iguodala. They were a great team in their own right without him. They won 72 games. They might have lost to LeBron, but they won 72 games without him. But he was the player that took them to the next level. I love Curry as a player, and I know he won back-to-back MVPs, but Durant was the best player on that team. Durant went to the best team in the league and became the best player. Durant would go to any team in the league and become the best player. You go to LA, probably become the best player because LeBron would be smart enough to say, hey, I'm going to pass you the ball because you're a better shooter than me. He brings all these things. He's still one of one of the most I would say one of the most mobile, but I don't know. He got a really big injury 2 years ago. Yeah, we don't know what he's going to come back at, and that's my only reason why I had a number 3. To me, he could be the best player on the planet any given day, like we've talked about. He's got all the tools. He's got that height. He can jump over anyone. He can move around the court. He shoots the ball like he's a guard. He handles like he's a guard. He can play in the post. He can do any little thing that he's asked to do. He's the best player, or one of the best players on the planet. But we just don't know what he's going to come back as.
Yeah.
If he comes back even at 75% of the player Kevin Durant was, he's still the third best power forward. But if he comes back at 100% what Kevin Durant could be, he could easily be the MVP and the best player in the league again next year, hands down.
Yep, and I mean, this is a guy who, even just looking at year over year, a huge knock on him coming into the year. Oh, he's so scrawny, just his build, he's lengthy, he doesn't have strength to him. And I feel like we have him ranked at power forward, and people might even comment saying, oh, he can hang in with certain guys. Like, he can.
Yeah.
He can very much hang in with these guys now. He has no problem being physical nowadays. His blocks over the last 3 years have been the highest number of blocks he's had in his entire career. He almost had 2 blocks per game 2 years ago, and he hasn't come close to that in any of the years in OKC. So this is a guy, again, who has no problem positioning himself in the paint now, grabbing the ball, swatting the ball away, making his presence felt, and we're definitely going to see in Brooklyn, like me and you spoke about, we have him power forward, because they're probably going to run some type of lineup with Irving, Harris, Durant, Allen, and I mean, on paper, that 5 is one of the best starting 5s in the league, hands down. You have 5 guys there who are some of the best at their position.
What I find horrible over in Brooklyn is that someone like Kyrie Irving thinks he's on the same planet as Kevin Durant just because he played with LeBron James. Kyrie Irving is sitting there thinking that he's top shit, that the team's going to run this way. We don't need a coach because me and Durant, we're going to play our own way. ISO ball, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Durant did that a little bit at Golden State, but he bought into the team in Golden State. That's what made them so successful. I still think Brooklyn's going to be successful no matter what. But Kyrie's got to simmer down on the talk of I'm on the same level as Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's on a whole another ball game that 99.9% of players in this league can't keep up to.
I would say Kyrie, maybe you're discrediting it a bit, where I think anyone who's
great, but he's not a top 5 player in the league.
Maybe not top 5, but also at the same time, I feel like anyone who's ever played with Kyrie just raves about how good he is with and without the ball. I feel like a lot of the time we don't see it because Kyrie, a lot of the time, either has to do too much or he's injured, or like you said, he's so.
We'll talk about Kyrie whenever it's point guard time. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. In terms of Durant, I mean, the only reason, again, that, like I said, the number
not any higher.
Yeah, is because I do think we'll see a bit less because that team is so deep, and also when looking at it, like it's the other guys are justifiable. Like if we could go to number 2 here with Anthony Davis, the best Kevin Durant we've ever seen, essentially. So with that, Anthony Davis, Los Angeles Lakers, NBA champion. We see that in the thumbnail as well. Big for Davis. Good on him. Number 2. But
he could also be the number 1 player in the league.
Absolutely. But I mean, in comparison to Durant, where a lot of people might maybe not say that Durant's the 1 this year, but he at least might be better than Davis. What I say is that I feel like Anthony Davis is discredited a lot because playoff-wise, Kevin Durant's best playoff series or best playoff run was that one with the Golden State Warriors 2 years ago when he won that MVP. And I mean, looking at his stats, they were just absolutely insane, where Durant had 32.5 per game. Obviously, the rebounds were there, had 4.5 assists, 90% free throws.
Getting guarded by LeBron James, might add.
44% from 3 for Kevin Durant. Like, it's insane. But at the same time, Anthony Davis in his 2017-2018 playoff run, when he was the primary guy for the Pelicans, okay, so Durant played 12 games in that run, Davis played 9. So only 3 less games to go off of. Davis still had 30.1 points per game, pretty much on par with Durant. He had 13.4 rebounds. That's 8.4 rebounds more than Durant was averaging during that. He had 2.3 blocks, still shot a free throw percentage of 82%. Yeah, his threes were down, but I mean, did he really shoot that many threes during it? So, I mean, in reality, Anthony Davis, when he's had the chance to be that guy and to step up, clearly
he's taken it.
Ability to. He has the potential, if you need to put up 30 per game over a 10-game span, which clearly he showed it. And that was against the Spurs 1 series, I believe, if I'm not mistaken as well.
MD.
Yeah, so clearly, again, I don't think that you could just justify Durant based off that playoff run because Davis has one that was just as good. And we know that Anthony Davis, statistically, 26 and 10, 27 and 10, 20, it doesn't matter. He's a double-double machine. He's a blocks machine year after year as a leader. He could actually hit the three at like a 35% rate now.
I know Giannis got Defensive Player of the Year last year. I think Anthony Davis should have been well more in the conversation for that.
Yeah.
I just think that he had such a great year in LA, but because he's on the team with the best player on the planet, he gets overshadowed hardcore. I'm not talking about like how Pippen got overshadowed with Jordan. Davis, no offense, Scottie Pippen, Anthony Davis is a much better player than you ever were.
That's just what I mean. When did Scottie Pippen ever put up 30 per game in a playoff series? Let alone over 9 straight games. Like, that's 30 and 13. That's insane.
And that's just what Anthony Davis was that year. He averaged 28 and 12 that year when it comes to the regular season. 28 and 12 throughout the season. And we're talking, was that the year or the year before Cousins went there? That might have been the year out before Cousins went there.
No, I think it was the year out, but Cousins had got injured into.
Cousins got hurt. Yeah, Cousins
Davis
tore the ACL.
Yeah.
So like we're saying that Davis is a fantastic player. If it wasn't for the number one spot on this list getting back-to-back MVPs, then I'm putting Anthony Davis ahead of him. I've actually put Anthony Davis ahead of him just based stylistically. He doesn't have a weakness. Yeah. He hits on every single point that you need him to hit on, and he's proven that he can actually step his game up past that. Like he only averaged 3 assists last year, but he averaged 4 assists the year before. If you need him to be a ball handler, he'll be the ball handler. Anthony Davis used to be, I know this because I played 2K. They announced it 2 or 3 years ago. But back whenever he was in high school, he was a guard. He had that huge growth spurt, became a power forward center. He could be the best. If we're talking center in the league, he's the best center in the league. If we're talking best forward in the league, the only reason he's not is because he's on a team with LeBron James. If he's on a team by himself that was proven to be a winner, just like the Bucks have been with Giannis, then he would be a number one player. And if he's the number one player at power forward, he's the number one player in this league. But because he's still playing with LeBron, to be fair, together they're the best duo in the league. They're the best duo we've probably ever seen in the league. And together they are that championship contender every single year just based on 2 of them. I could be their point guard and they're still a championship contender. So with that being said, he is great, really up there. But because our number one was able to get certain amount of stats that are just unheard of right now, he's got more weaknesses. Davis has got one of the least amount of weaknesses and most amount of strengths of anyone in this whole league. But he's just missing that individual success. I know you put together a playoff year from a couple years ago. Yeah, Durant's got a playoff year like that too. Tatum's got a playoff year like that he just had, or very similar to it. He's gotten to show this that he's the best player on the team. I think that it's going to happen more and more as LeBron ages, that Davis is going to take more and more responsibility. If that's the case, if LeBron does cede a little bit of that responsibility to Anthony Davis, we're looking at a 31-12 guy. Easily.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what and with Anthony Davis too, like in that playoff run, he played 43 minutes per game. Like he doesn't need breaks.
He doesn't care.
No, you give him a break because like he's a human. Yeah. That's it. But like if it's up to Anthony Davis, I don't think we've ever once seen Anthony Davis tired in a game. Like it just doesn't make sense. The guy's just a freak.
If he would have, I think he would have been higher in my conversation for a top player, not just talking about with him being a LeBron this year. I think that actually worked out for him because he did win the championship.
Yeah.
But the one big knock on him is that trade demand out in New Orleans, that he didn't play that year, that he didn't play hard, he didn't play his heart out. To me, that's a big hit on him. I know he was really young. I know that he wanted to get to LA. He got what he wanted. He got his wishes. To me, I took a big hit out of him in my books. And without that, he might have been considered the number one power forward. And that's saying something considering the stats that our number one actually put up. It's ridiculous.
Even in that quote, like lazy year, still put up 26 and 12. Like that's a guy who's just half-assed, not trying.
Just 4 assists.
Try not to end up like
2.5 rebound blocks.
Yeah, that's just literally a guy who saw one of his friends tear his ACL, losing a contract, and was like, I'm not going to do the same. And he just took a lolly off year, and he still did very, very good.
Still got 26, 12, and 4, hit 2.5 blocks per game with only 2 turnovers per game.
Yeah, that's another, like you said, turnovers, very low. So many guys on this list, 3 turnovers is a very, very common
easy number to get.
Yeah, for a lot of those top 10 players because they have the ball so much. 3 turnovers is almost
exactly.
And Anthony Davis,
it's a given.
Yeah, for Davis to only have two, I mean, that's fantastic. And I mean, he did have 2.5 last year, but the number's never been over three in his entire career. I mean, for his career average is under two. So that's great on him. That's just another element to say how good he is in terms of the game of basketball.
But as we're saying this, we know we clearly have a lot of love for Anthony Davis. I think he's going to be a top 3 player. I think him, Luka, and our future number 1 here are going to be a top 3 players for the next probably 15 years. I really do believe that because LeBron's getting older, Durant's getting older. These guys are really young. Davis is only 26 this year, or around that, 27 maybe. But
He turned 27 and last year
turning 27. Yeah, there we go. On another page here, we have someone who's the same exact age, 26, turning 27. At number 1, it's unfair to Davis to put him number 2 in a position where he would be number 1 in every other position probably. But this guy at number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm not even going to try.
Break. That's okay. To call him the Greek Freak, call him Giannis, whatever you want to call him. Just note that whenever this guy is so good, he plays 27 minutes per game. I'm going to read you his per 36 stat line. Mind you, he plays 27 minutes per game, so his numbers are a little bit lower than this. But on per 36, he averages 35 points, 16 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. Sorry, I was looking at that wrong. His blocks and steals aren't that high, but he still won Defensive Player of the Year last year. Clearly, he makes a difference on defense. 35 and 16, though. 35, 16. Like, I know he only plays 27. We're talking about Anthony Davis playing 40. Imagine if Giannis played 40.
Yeah, I mean, we said that about someone else too, that he only played 20, I think it was Marvin Bagley, only playing 25 minutes per game. And same with Giannis, like playing 30 minutes per game, and like you said, putting up that line. It's clearly
ridiculous.
Yeah, who knows if it's an issue of they feel like he might get fatigued throughout the game, but like who knows?
They don't need him to play during the regular season though. They don't need him to play. Exactly. They take him off when they have a 15-point lead. I think of the Miami Heat in 2013. LeBron only played when they needed him to play.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, like you said about the Davis video too. I mean, back-to-back MVP speaks for itself. Yeah, he doesn't have the NBA Finals appearance, but he's obviously brought that Bucks team far enough in the playoffs. And that's a Bucks team that hadn't won a playoff series in a number of years. So to even get them over that hurdle is an accomplishment in its own right. And this is a guy too who we have to remember. He was the 15th pick in the draft. He really just came in the league as just a freak athlete. And he's developed all these different basketball skills that have really made him the best overall power forward at this position.
Siakam on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, to think you'd put up 30 points per game is almost like, if you told me 4 years ago that Giannis would be a 30-point per game guy, I would have laughed. I would have said, oh, maybe
30 and 11, yep.
Yeah, I would have said maybe 30 and 11, 30 and 13.
Yeah, I was looking at his defensive rebounds. Never mind. Yeah, you're right.
It's amazing what this guy's become. And I mean, that's even with a guy who hasn't developed certain areas of his game. I guess to say, like, if we can, a couple bad things about him, looking at it. So Giannis.
3-point shooting.
Yeah, I mean, he's also one of the worst free throws of anyone in position. Him and his brother both. I think he was 83rd overall. So that's just, I guess, something that, like I said, the body type, it just doesn't work for them in terms of being good free throw shooters. You obviously alluded to the 3-point shooting. His turnovers, I believe, are pretty high as well. He's first in turnovers by a lot, to be honest. And like you said, too,
to be fair, when you put him up to other players of the same usage percentage, his turnovers is right up there. It's not like he's crazy higher than a player like Doncic. Out there, he's right about that level. So I definitely don't. We can knock him on it, but he's such a great player.
Yeah, and I mean, I sent a text to you saying, oh, I'm struggling with my 1, 2, and 3, but I seen a specific stat that really set me on who the number one is. And that stat for me, it was the win-loss ratio that a player accounted for. So the player in second for power forwards was plus 9 wins. Giannis was plus 18. Plus 18. He had double the amount of Jason Tatum. And I mean, clearly for a guy to generate 18 wins for your team when, again, the next highest guy was 9, you're obviously the most valuable player, at least at that position, and that puts you
The
down
whole
into a very slim category, right? And looking at real plus minus too, this guy was someone who his real plus minus was 10. The next highest at power forward, I believe, was 3. So again, that's 7 better than anyone. No one else in the league in the position has such a large gap like that in terms of real plus minus, in terms of the win-loss ratio that they help create. So clearly, Giannis has an ability in that regard to really help the Bucks do what they need to.
I think sure we pulling my driveway there. But yeah, no, Giannis definitely, like you say, great player. And whenever we're talking about Giannis, but we keep talking about his weaknesses. Can you imagine what kind of player he would be if he didn't have these weaknesses? If he could hit that three, if he can hit those free throws, if he can do all these things that we're already talking about him being the second best player on the planet right now. I can only imagine him being probably the best player on the planet and not even being close. He's putting up numbers. We put him on the same plane as LeBron, but he's putting up better numbers than LeBron ever did. He's putting up numbers that we've never seen before, especially not on this low of efficiency. It's amazing. Like I say, his wins added are double of what anyone else in the whole on his position, or even more in the whole league at this point. He doesn't even need to play. But if he improve that three-point shooting, improve that free throw shooting, and more importantly, improve in the playoffs, there's no reason why he can't be the best player for the next 10 years in a row, and not just at this position. The fact that we had to think about if he's better than Anthony Davis, if he's better than Durant, the fact that that was even a conversation just goes to show that he has so much more potential to reach. He's going to be amazing for the next 10 years, and I'm excited to watch, no matter what team he goes for.
Yeah.
Come to Toronto.
I mean, I don't think we're necessarily going to see him improve a lot in the 3-point or the free throw realm. I mean, this is a guy who knows he gets the line a lot. He was first in attempts for power forwards at 9.9, still only hit 62%. So, like, I guess that's just always probably going to be the knock on him, that he can't hit it consistently. But again, like you said, the wins added just speaks for itself. His ability to get to the net, he does drop a bit in the playoffs. And I mean, at this point, the fact that he's probably not the best player in the league is the fact that one of the brightest memories in my basketball mind is Kawhi Leonard just absolutely dunking on Giannis, and really getting the Raptors to that NBA Finals appearance. Versus if it was Giannis doing that to Kawhi, Giannis is probably the best player in the NBA right now, and it's just really what set it apart. In that moment, Kawhi stepped up. He showed what the franchise number 1, number 2 guy in the league
needs to do.
Exactly. Versus Giannis is still in that top 5 discussion there, but power forward, definitely number 1.
Definitely number 1.
I mean, ironically too, there's so much talk about the Bucks leaving. We look at Mr. LeBron James and when he left, and there's so much talk and there was so much criticism on LeBron about, oh, you didn't win, and you could say the same about Giannis. Well, guess what? LeBron James left after his 7th year in Cleveland, and he did not win a title. And then he lost another year in Miami, and that happened. Giannis just finished his 7th year in Milwaukee.
Give him a chance.
I'm saying though, but the chance he has to go potentially where there's been so much talk to Miami is going to be in his 9th year, the same year LeBron James won his first title. So there's no reason to give Giannis whatever shit for not winning yet again when LeBron took to his 9th year. So we don't know how many he'll have in a row. We don't know what he's going to look like in the finals until he gets there. And for it to take him year 9 or 10, clearly, even for the best player
of this
generation,
that happened to Jordan too.
Exactly. And that's why people, like, even ourselves, we criticize him for it. But when I saw that, it's like you literally have a career at that point that's reminiscent to LeBron James.
We just criticize him because of how well the Bucks are in the regular season. The Bucks are the best team in the regular season. It's not even close. I don't know if LeBron's ever had that. But the fact that the Bucks have that and they will go down, that's where the knock is. But to be fair, it's not a fair knock. He's so young. He has this team they're built around him, but he's got Middleton, but no true second star like LeBron had to win a championship. Mm-hmm. I think if he's around a team like what LeBron had in 2012, 2013, then there's no way anyone beats him. I think he's right up there. He's going to be a great player. Him and Doncic are going to be the future of this league. I hope Davis is right up there as well, but like we talked about, Giannis just does certain things better than anyone else in the league. And if he keeps doing those certain things better than anyone else, then I don't see how he gets off of that spot. Number 1 is where he's going to stay.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll necessarily win a 3rd straight MVP, but regardless, like you said,
Either way.
saying this, the Bucks absolutely going to make the playoffs. I myself, we have a previous video where I said there might be the most disappointing team in the regular season. You know what? It might happen, but if they actually have some regular or some playoff success, it's not going to matter. But ultimately, my kind of point with the LeBron thing is I don't even care how this year goes because I just want to see what happens almost in year 9, just to see where he's going to play and just to see if that's going to translate into an NBA title for him. Because once year 9 happens, where again LeBron, Jordan, other players, that's really where they almost seem to take off. That's where we're going to get to gauge where Giannis' term sits in terms of all-time NBA. Because he's going to be going into that 9th, 10th year where you could actually put together a large enough portfolio and gauge what Giannis truly was throughout his career too.
I really do like. As much as he may stay in the Bucks, I really like him in Miami. I really like him in Toronto. I think both those teams, he would fit so well in those teams, and they would be a contender for the next 10, 15 years. But that being said, no matter where Giannis goes, he's going to be on a contender. He is a contender. He is contending.
And he, like we said, he does have our number 1 spot. We awarded Nikola Jokic with a Joe Louis as an award. So what does Sir Giannis Antetokounmpo, and what, however we want to say it, you guys could spell it.
Antetokounmpo.
And then Giannis Ant. We'll just go with that. How are we going to reward Sir Giannis, Mr. Greek Freak? Are we going to get him a pita wrap if he ever comes to Toronto?
I think we should get him a couple of packs of rockets.
Yeah, but he's Greek. He doesn't. Oh, you know what? That's the point. We get them Canadian snacks.
Get something different.
Exactly.
Who cares about where they come from? Come visit us.
No, like you said, the Joe Louis was Canadian. The Rockets are Canadian. These are key elements. So there we go. We have your award. We hope you're not diabetic. Because
give us your address. We'll get it over to you. Don't worry.
I don't know if they'll make it across the border.
We'll get you the big ones though, not the little ones. Don't worry, we got you.
Ones are better for sure. The big ones are aesthetically more pleasing, but the little ones taste way better. You could eat more of them at once, so there's more sour. You know.
Video call me, Giannis. I'll show you what they are. Give me your address. We'll hook it up. Don't worry.
We won't give away your address either. Don't worry.